since I'm at the end part of my life, right? Let me just make a little recording here in praise of Arena Stage. It's a theater in Washington, D.C. that my parents had season tickets to. Okay, so this was their major cultural event that they would attend. And, well, this was for years, during my adolescent years mainly. They had season tickets to Arena Stage. And, well, it so happened that every now and again, for some reason, the couple that they had season tickets with, and let me mention that this man was a former Nazi soldier. He's friends with America's Man of the Year. His good theater-going friend is a former Nazi. That's all I'm going to say, because I'm saying, wow. I have nothing against the Nazis. Yes, I do, but I have plenty against them. Now, but that's a whole other matter now, but I'm just mentioning it while going along. So he had season tickets with his former Nazi friend, and apparently sometimes the Nazi could not go with his wife, so America's Man of the Year would take me and my older sister in place of the couple. So some of the plays we saw this way were, we saw The Andersonville Trials, I think that was the title. We saw Marasad. Wow, was that a night? We saw what was it? The Sign in Sidney Brunstein's Window, and the Mac the Knife. Those four. I think those are the only four plays, but each play was a memorable experience. The theater was in the round, and the acting was great, and they had like a repertory company there where certain actors were, they were there, part of their permanent acting company. So you saw them over and over again. And, well, it just so happens that the first date I took my wife on was to a production at Arena Stage, because my mother, I guess she was trying to engineer me toward having a relationship with a woman. She had never had anything to do with any discussion of women. Anytime I ever tried to discuss women with her, I'd say, Mama, this or that, and the other. She'd say, look, you'll have plenty of time for that. And that ended it. There was no discussion at all. So now I'm at Gallaudet University. I'm 40 years old. I'm going to be a year at Gallaudet as a full-time undergraduate hearing student among the deaf students there. Gallaudet, at that time, I don't know what it is now, because I've heard that because certain diseases now are no longer causing deafness because the diseases are not widespread the way they used to be that would cause deafness. There's less and less deaf people, so I was hearing that the population of deaf students at Gallaudet was going down. So maybe they've changed their rules and they've opened Gallaudet to hearing students differently than when I went there as a 40-year-old. At that time, hearing students were not allowed to be at Gallaudet as a full-time undergraduate for more than one academic year. That was the rule at that time, and I got accepted in that program, and I did attend one academic year at Gallaudet University as a full-time hearing student among deaf students. Okay? That was the 1993 to 1994 academic year. I hope I don't forget what I'm going to talk about in this message. Oh yeah, I'm trying to praise Arena Stage, and I'm saying that I met my wife at Gallaudet University, the woman who was going to become my wife, okay? And I asked her out on a date. I'm somebody who never dated women, mainly because I never even met them. I never even met anybody to ask. So, I was not somebody who never went on dates with women. Although, I was searching for this is the way I would say it, my woman. And in my case, I want the woman, I want the ideal, I want, people say true love, but I got a better word now. In Judaism, there's a thing called a zivug. This is your soulmate. So I like the word zivug better than true love. So, now I would say, at that time and all throughout my life, I've been looking for my zivug. Okay, so I'm looking for my zivug, and so I don't go on dates because I don't even meet a woman to ask. They're not in my world. They're just not there. So I finally get to a point where I find this deaf woman who's, she seems to like me, and she's attractive, and she's Asian, and I was prejudiced against Asian because the man who raised me, America's Man of the Year is what I call him, he was in the war against Japan, so I grew up in a household which teaches me, I'm going to say, by however means, not to like Asians because of that war, okay? And so, especially Japanese women, I don't want anything to do with them, but there weren't any. I knew one Japanese woman in my entire youth growing up, and I didn't meet a second one. The only Japanese woman I ever met, besides there was a Japanese family on our street. And now that I think of it, I never saw the mother, not a single time. I did see the father. He was often in his garage making things, okay, with wood. So the garage door would be open, he'd be in there working. I never once saw that mother. And I used to play out of the street every day, okay? Right by that house, I never saw the mother, not a single time. We lived in that house till I was 24 years old, from age 7 to 24. A lot of those years, I'm out the street playing, riding my bike, playing football and all these things every day. I never saw that woman once. Okay, so the only Japanese woman I ever met was a cheerleader at the high school I went to for 1 year when I was a senior in high school. And there was a Japanese cheerleader who became the girlfriend of one of the guys on the varsity basketball team. So I saw her, and anytime I looked at her, it was like, I don't like you. That's what I was thinking. You're Japanese, I don't like you. Okay? Now, I like the Japanese family, but I'm going to have a woman, she's not going to be Japanese. That's a rule. Not formulated in words ever, but it's already there. Doesn't need words. So, I don't meet my second Japanese woman until I've been married and my son is playing soccer. Our son, the biological son that my wife and I have with each other, okay? I got to spell this out because in my life, I find I got married at age 41 actually, and I wasn't anybody to date or anything. And I'm finding myself later, people are saying, "That's your first wife." Yes, it's my first wife. You have kids with her. Yes, I have one child with her. This is your biology. Yes. Questions I never dreamed as a kid I'd be asked. I'm answering. So, especially since I was declared to be crazy at age 28. People are thinking, even in my own family, when our son was born, the other family members are handling that baby, looking at it like, is this his? Did he quietly adopt somebody and pulling one over on us? Is this really his child? They're looking at it real carefully, and then somebody says, no, he's got his fingernails. This has got to be his kid. Okay. All right, so I'm losing track. I'm trying to remember here. I'm praising Arena Stage. We have a son. Oh yeah, and the son plays soccer, so we're often taking the son to soccer practices and all. And when the son is getting on, he's like up around. He's almost 14 when he makes the academy team for the professional team in Washington, D.C. DC United. He makes that academy team, which is extremely hard to do, right? But just before that, or just after, around that time, one of the other players on the team he's on, not that academy team, is half Asian, and his mother is Japanese, and she becomes the only friend, as close as you might say that I might have a friend, that I ever make in all those years when we were driving our son all over the place. And I'm not complaining. I enjoyed watching my son play soccer, and it was great. He loved it, and he was good, and it was fun. And all the trials and tribulations involved with that were many. And well, he had this friend who was on the team with him, who was half Japanese, and his mother was Japanese. She became my friend. She was the only person I can say I became friends with. Now, friend in my world, does it mean what friend meant to me when I was a kid growing up? No. Before I'm declared to be crazy, and after I'm declared to be crazy. So before I'm declared to be crazy, I have a definition for friend and experiences with friends. And I think it's more like what I think society thinks of a friend before I'm declared to be crazy. After I'm declared to be crazy, there's no such friend. Okay? So you have a different kind of a relationship, which is as close as to a person that I might call a friend as I can get, being called crazy the way I am. It's impossible after that, in my world. But anyway, this woman, she's married, and I'm married, and we're friends. So I look forward to seeing her during the practices. We chat while the kids are practicing. We're talking. And this is great. I loved it. So this is the second Japanese woman I've met in my life. And I've only met two. And the first one I say in high school, I'm like, I don't like you. It's not articulated because I'm saying, I don't like you. You're Japanese. No, I don't like you. You're a Japanese woman, meaning I don't like you for a girlfriend. You're not going to be my girl. She has another guy for a girlfriend, but I'm just saying. These are my unconscious responses to her. So later, I'm saying, you're Japanese? Fine. Because I've been married to a Korean-descended woman. And this comes on the phone here. I'm saying this is harassment. This is the kind of thing I'm dealing with all the time. Things come on unexpectedly to interrupt and make me seem different than what I am. This is a subtle form of what I'm calling microcosmic harassment. The fact that this recording came on during this talk here to interrupt things. Okay, I'm saying this is intentional by the harassers in this phone listening in this house right now. Let me go on anyway. Okay, so I'll try to get back to my point here. I'm talking in praise of Arena Stage, and I'm saying that my view of the Japanese changes over the course of my lifetime. Okay? Now, what am I saying about the Japanese? I'm skipping ahead. I say, in my opinion, the Japanese people are the most highly evolved people on the planet. Over any other people on the earth, they're the most highly evolved. What do I mean by that? Well, use your common sense, okay? The Jews are supposed to be the chosen people of the one and only God, okay? You would think that they are the most highly evolved people, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying the Japanese are a higher evolved people than the Jews. Does that mean they have better answers to the metaphysical questions we all want answers to? No. It doesn't mean that. But it does mean they're highly evolved. That's all. Now, I've changed quite a bit now, and I admire the Japanese, and I'm saying you couldn't do better than to have a Japanese woman for a wife. You can't find a better wife on the earth. That's what I'm saying. I've changed quite a bit, right? Okay, and why did I go into that long diversion on Japanese? I don't know. Because I was getting interrupted. My wife came in the room, Then there's interruption on the phone, so I've lost track. But I want to go back to my praise of Arena Stage. I marry a Korean descended woman when throughout my life I'm kind of prejudiced against Asians when it comes to marriage. Otherwise, I'm not prejudiced. I have Asian friends and so on. I'm not prejudiced against Asians, but I don't want to marry one. Okay? And let me say that I never have any fantasies, and I have lots of fantasies because I wasn't having any women, right? So I'm depending on fantasies to fuel my sexual drive, and I never have a fantasy about an Asian woman ever. It doesn't occur to me to have one. I don't look at a pig. If I get the rare time I buy a Playboy magazine and I got to run the gauntlet of going up to the counter at a place like People's Drug and saying, "Can I have Playboy, please?" And some old woman, like, old to me then, 60. I'm in my 70s, but when I'm like 16 and I'm going up to the counter and there's a woman in her 60s, right? And I'm going to say, "Can I have," and there's a line behind me. This is like when you see movies and somebody's going to buy, what do they call it? Contraceptive. I only can think of the slang term, so I don't want to say it. The contraceptives that look like balloons that men use, okay? And in movies, you know, it's a big embarrassing moment for some young guy to go up to the counter at a drugstore and say, "Can I have one of those balloon-like contraceptives that men use?" It's a very embarrassing moment. Well, that was buying a Playboy, which was my only source of sexual satisfaction. As Rodney Dangerfield, the comic, once said, he said, "Oh man, when I had sex for the first time, yeah, I was scared. I was very scared of sex the first time. Yeah, I was all alone." You get the joke? Well, that was me. So I'm going to go up to the counter. "Can I have Playboy, please?" There's a line behind me and so on. How much? Okay. So I rarely bought those because of the embarrassment factor, right? But they rarely had an Asian woman in them. Okay? You're not going to go through. They didn't have that much in the magazine, right? There were like 3 places in the magazine where you had pictures. Oh, I know all you guys out there. You never looked at the pictures, right? That's what I always hear. "Oh, I don't buy it for the pictures. I want those articles." Well, I bought it for the pictures, okay? I'll admit it. And the pictures were mainly in 3 places. Toward the beginning, in the middle where the centerfold was, and then later in the thing, a few pages toward the end. 3 places in the Playboy. I bought it for the pictures. Okay, and there were no Asians in there at all. No Asian women, so not a problem, okay? All right, so I get married to an Asian woman because by the time I meet her, I'm 40 years old. There's been no women. I've been on a desert. No women at all, so I'm saying, my God, this woman likes me. She's attractive in her way, and she's Asian. Forget about it. She's Korean. She's not Japanese. Marry her, and I did. So I stay married to my wife, and because I'm married to my wife and I like her and all, I love her. I learned, I get conditioned to like Asian women. Let's put it that way. And so, you know, by the time I meet this Asian mother who's Japanese, my prejudice against Japanese women is gone. Well, I'm married anyway, so it's a moot point. She's going to be a girlfriend or anything? No, that's not even possible. So now we're friends. Okay? And I got to say, the man of the year who raised me wasn't in the major battles that occurred in the Pacific. Okay? The Philippines and so on. And all the way to Okinawa. And he was in all of that. Okay? On a ship during the war against Japan. So he was at the Battle of Okinawa and so on. And not long after that battle, the bombs were dropped on Japan. Now, the man of the year never mentioned whether he was present when those bombs were dropped, but he had to be, right? Why would he have gone home? He's in the Battle of Okinawa, but he never mentioned it. And for the first time ever, I'm going to try to formulate an idea on why he never mentioned it. maybe he never mentioned it because his exposure to the radiation, and he became a radiologist, his exposure to the radiation might have caused him mutations to his DNA, okay, that could have caused him to come in for criticism in certain ways. And that's as much as I want to say. Because he never mentioned being present during the dropping of those bombs, but he had to be there, right? But he never mentioned it. And I'm saying this is why. Now, this woman I meet, my second Japanese woman, what does she tell me? She tells me that her father saw the bomb go off over either what Nagasaki or Hiroshima. I forget which one it was. But he had a place, he lived like on a mountain somewhere. I learned now, late in life, that Tokyo, there's lots of mountains in Tokyo. In Japan. In Japan, lots of mountains. It's a very mountainous area. So he's living out in the country. He's like on a mountaintop. And he's watching the bomb go off. Here's a man who sees one of those atomic bombs go off. And I'm meeting, it's his daughter, right? Yeah. Yeah, she's my age. So her father is like my father at the time of that war. My father's there, her father's there. Interesting, huh? So the intention here was to talk about Arena Stage, but I'm going to get back to that now. I marry Hal. My mother, who never talks to me about women, she says, I have 2 tickets to Arena Stage. I can't use them. You take them. I'm at Gallaudet University. So I say, okay. Thanks. Now, I don't have a girlfriend. I don't know anybody. I'm just starting out at my one academic year at Gallaudet as a 40-year-old who's been declared to be crazy 12 years earlier. So one of the reasons I'm at Gallaudet is to try to show I am not crazy. I'm not crazy, as people have said. In fact, from the moment I had that experience, I'm arrested unlawfully, the way I was, taken off to the American Siberia of its mental prison system. I was trying to get out of that the way I saw that a man like Papillon, from the minute he was to be put on Devil's Island, he was trying to escape. Me, the exact same way. I said, I am not crazy, like you said, this is a fraud. I'm going to do all I can to show how wrong you are about me. So part of it is I teach myself sign language, which is a very difficult language to learn. And I get myself into Gallaudet University. No help from mental prison system inquisitioners who are overseeing me. They're telling me, do not go to Gallaudet. Do not go there. Okay? And I go anyway. And I have to arrange it. It's very complicated. The crazy loony bin, he arranges to go to Gallaudet, which means I got to go back to university. It was very complex. I get myself in there, no help from anybody, and not only no help, opposition from the people who were considering themselves my guides through life. At that time, where was I? In a halfway mental prison house. That's where I was, going about these plans to spend a year at Gallaudet University. They're telling me, do not go there. Okay. So, my mother gives me the tickets, and I say, oh, great. So, I don't know anybody yet, but I meet this woman at Gallaudet, and then I tremulously start to ask her in sign language, do you like plays? And I'm thinking, I'm not somebody who ever dated anybody. I don't know anything about these things. And then she says, yes, in sign language. And I say, would you like to go to a play with me in sign language? I'm thinking, what answer am I going to get? Here's her answer. Yes, I do. Yes, I do in sign language. My wife cannot talk. I do? That's what you say when you get married. Well, anyway, she went to the play with me, and there I was at Arena Stage. We had a great time. I arranged to go on a night when there would be interpreters there. I'm not sure. I don't think my tickets had me for a night when there would be interpreters, so I had them changed. And we go on a night when there's interpreters. The interpreters were great. The whole experience was great. We loved it. And we started on a relationship, and later, about a year later, we got married. Now, that was Arena Stage, okay? A memorable night, my first date with my wife there. It was a great time. And so now, I get married after my year at Gallaudet ends, and I'm unemployed, can't find a job anywhere, okay? I'm still this guy with this history of mental disease. Nobody's going to hire or even rent an apartment to, right? And I don't have a friend. And the people in the mental prison system which has been overseeing me, they're very angry at me for going down to Gallaudet and moving out of Maryland into D.C., which they told me not to do. Do not move to D.C. You're going to go right back to the mental prison, to state mental prison. Do not go down to D.C. From us here, you're going to go back into the state mental prison. Do not do that. Well, I did it anyway, and I didn't go back to the state mental prison, where I should have never been in the first place, okay? I'm trying to stay on track here. I'm trying to stay on track. This one's got me. Hold on. I'm praising Arena Stage. I went to a Arena Stage. Okay, I get married to my wife and I'm unemployed. I'm getting married and I'm unemployed, okay? And I'm crazy, right? According to American law, I've been declared to be crazy, certified paranoid schizophrenic. Whoa. Oh, man. Okay. So, while I'm going every single day to this handicapped agency, okay, I cut ties with the halfway mental prison house that had been overseeing with me. I cut ties with them, and I join up with this. I sign up and start going every day to this job agency for handicapped, any kind of handicapped. As I keep repeating, just about all the time I was there looking through their notebooks and everything and visiting their place and trying to find a job, there was a woman in there with no arms in there with me at the same time. She didn't have mental disease or anything. Her handicap was no arms, okay? So I liked the idea. I didn't believe I had a mental disease, but I'd been declared to have one, so I had to work with that. And this was better, in my opinion, because I figured any kind of mental disease coming out of this, any kind of handicap coming out of this place, maybe, who knows, I asked I call her an overseer, but we won't call her quite an inquisitioner. My overseer there, a black woman, okay, I'm asking her, do the places that hire these handicapped, I don't know how I phrase this, do they know the handicap of the people that they're hiring? Or does it matter? Because I had a paper saying that I qualified as a handicapped person. I can show that. I still have copies. It's a paper saying that I was severely handicapped with a mental disease. That's what it says. So, so I qualified to go to this place. I showed them the paper and all. Oh, you're full out crazy? Yeah, come on with us. Yeah, you're handicapped. Come on. So I'm going there every day, and I went there for like 2 years. But during that time, one day I was at the place there, and I'm saying, my God, this is going on and on and on and on. I said, I grabbed a phone book or something in their office. I said, I'm going to write a letter to Arena Stage and see if I can get a job there. Just a wild shot. Let me try this, because I got to at least try. I had some acting experience in high school. I was good in acting. Let me see if I can get a job, cleaning up. I'll be a janitor at Arena Stage. So I write him a letter saying, I'll do anything at Arena Stage. Doesn't matter to me what it is. I'll do anything there. So, to my amazement, before I get hired anywhere, I'm still going to the job agency every day, I get a reply to that letter. Yeah, come on in for an interview. My God, what is this? So I go to Arena Stage, the fancy Arena Stage that I went to as a kid with my parents. I mentioned the 4 plays I saw there. Andersonville Trials, Mac the Knife, Marasad. What was the other one? 4 plays. I can't remember now. I mentioned earlier in this recording. Okay, so now I'm going to be interviewed at Arena Stage, and what did they tell me? They're interviewing me because they see I have acting experience and they need a stage crew member who can act. So they hire me, and I'm in a play at Arena Stage, and I have bit parts to do in the stage, acting parts. I'm amazed that I get this job. I still go to the agency when I can, okay? I go there for 2 years, and I do finally get a job. And I would have stayed at Arena Stage, but the pay was so low, I couldn't afford to pay for rent and food for me and my wife. I couldn't do it. It wasn't enough money. I don't remember the exact amount, but it was around $5 an hour. It wasn't enough money to live on. It wasn't what you call a living wage. So I had to give that up. It would have been great to stay at Arena Stage, but I couldn't. So, okay, but I did. I got a job at Arena Stage, and my wife came to see me in the play, and she brought the man who married us to one night, and he watched. His name was Father Jerry. He came one night, and one of my aunts was in the audience. I hadn't told anybody in the family that I was in this play, and before the play, one of my things that I did was I had one of those big broad brooms, right, with the handle and the broad broom part, and I'm going up and down the stage with this broom to sweep the stage before the production, right? And I'm going up and down the stage while the people are coming in. And my aunt says, AJ. And I look over and I see my aunt sitting in the audience with her husband. So this is a big thing I'm at Arena Stage, for God's sake. To me, this is the best stage in Washington, D.C. You know, the Kennedy Center is almost not like a D.C. stage. It's like a national type thing, right? Arena Stage is Washington, D.C. Type drama, right? And there's the national stage, but I almost never went there at all, so I don't know much about it. My mother told me she was in bit parts on the national stage when she was trying to be an actress as a young woman. Okay, so Arena Stage means a lot to me, and I love Arena Stage, okay? I have no criticisms to make of Arena Stage, and here's why I started to make this recording. I made a huge mistake there one night, because after I was in the stage crew for The Matchmaker, where I was in the play, I didn't make any mistakes there. And as I recall, did I take a bow at the end? I believe I did. I took a bow at the end of that play, like an actor in the play. And the next play was Candide, and now I was completely backstage. And one of the things I had to do in the play was I was supposed to open the curtains for this. It was like a gondola. I think that's what they called it. And it was so heavy that, it had to be cranked out onto the stage, okay? And so they were debating, should 2 men crank that thing out? But the guy who cranked it out was saying, I can do this myself. No, I don't want somebody else. I can do it. This is a member of the stage crew, and we didn't like each other, okay? So I had to be back there with him, and I had to open the curtain up at a certain cue, I guess from what I heard going on in the stage. And at that moment, when I heard the words whatever on the stage, I had to do whatever I had, open the curtain, and then he's going to crank that gondola out. I think it had several actors on it. I don't remember. But it had like a mast on it and everything. And so he's going to crank this heavy gondola to go out on the stage. And that curtain had to be open for that thing to get out there. Well, on this one night, I guess I was daydreaming, and I was supposed to open the curtain, and this guy, he didn't like me, right? So he didn't say, hey, open the curtain. He said nothing to me at all. He just started to crank that thing out there without saying anything to me. Saying, he's like a few feet away. He would have seen, whether I opened that curtain or not, but he didn't like me, so I guess he was figured, let's have this guy mess up and he gets fired or whatever, okay? I'm going to say that's what was on his mind. So he cranks this thing out, and the curtain's not open, so what happens? The thing tips over. This is not funny, right? Oh, God, I was shocked. I was there thinking, oh my God, here the people have paid big money to see this play. This is Arena Stage. We're talking like $50 a ticket minimum, okay? And these are doctors, lawyers, senators, judges, congressmen, professional people in the Washington, D.C. area in the audience, generals in the army, and this kind of thing. They're in the audience, and here this big condom that tips over. I don't know what that looked like to the people out there, okay? So I'm on headset, right? And the stage director, she says to me, what the hell are you doing? And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't open the curtain. I'm so sorry. Well, you know what? I was not fired. And that's why I'm making this recording. I was not fired for that gigantic mistake. I don't know what it looked like, but Arena Stage survived, and they did not fire me. They didn't even rake me over the coals. They didn't call me into the office and say, look, listen, we can't have this kind of thing happen. If this happens again, you're out of here, right? They didn't even do that. They just scolded me. The lady scolded me on the headset just for that moment, and after that, it was over. And I didn't have any repercussions at all. And I left there when I got a job. At the job I would work till retirement. So I was saying to myself, I'm an old man. I'm going to pass away. I'm making these recordings. I'm at the end stage of my life. Let me praise Arena Stage. Okay, I love Walmart. What else do I love? I love Value Village. I love the free museums downtown. And I love Arena Stage. That's all from me for now. Bye for now. I want to add this footnote to my praise for Arena Stage. When I was working as a member of the stage crew for The Matchmaker, okay, I had various things to do. I was in the play, so sometimes I was waiting in the wings to go on to do things in the play and be in the play at the same time. I'm not going to talk about the bits that I had, which I enjoy thinking about, really, and wouldn't mind relating, but my purpose here is to mention that while I was backstage, I was various places backstage. I moved around because I had different things to do at different parts of the stage. And at one time, I was seated next to this very famous actor who was in the repertory company, all the way back to when I was a kid watching plays at this Arena Stage. This same actor who'd been one of the main actors of the repertory company then and continued to be one of the main actors. In fact, he was the lead of the Matchmaker. He was the lead character. I don't know the character's name, and I gotta say, I don't remember this man's name either. There were two from that original repertory company, and I think there was a third who became part of the repertory company later, who was also there, but these two were the two major actors of Arena Stage, and both had been the two main actors when I was watching as a 14-year-old. Now I'm a 41-year-old or 42-year-old, and these two guys are still the main actors there. Okay, and I don't know either of their names. However, I want to say that it was quite an honor, okay, to be seated on like a wooden bench, very like the wooden bench my Italian grandfather sat in his cellar. And I think my Italian grandfather actually slept on that bench. I think he spent all his time in that cellar. I do. And I think he even slept on that wooden bench. I think he may have done that. Anyway, I'm seated on a wooden bench like that backstage. And, a few feet away is this famous actor that I had known all the way back to when I was a 14-year-old. He was in Marasad. I remember him in that. And as far as the other plays, I don't remember. This play Marasad is imprinted in my mind. I remember various parts of the other plays. I got a pictorial imagination, but these two particular actors, I can only see them in Marasad now. And anyway, both of them were now backstage with me. Now, the lead character in The Matchmaker is there, and where we were conversing quietly while sitting back there because he was waiting to go on stage. He was almost on stage the entire play in The Matchmaker. I got to say, I was amazed at the amount of memory work this guy must have done. He had line after line. And man, he nailed it, right? It was incredible how much he had to memorize. But anyway, there was a moment when we were back there seated and we were just chatting. And I was thinking to myself, my God, this is the main actor from all the way back then, and here we are. Okay? Now, the other guy, he had a main part in Candide. I'm not sure if he was in The Matchmaker, I don't remember, but he had a major part to play in Candide. And I remember being backstage in Candide conversing with him. So I had these memorable experiences at Arena Stage that I don't remember either of their names. Both have passed away. So may their memory be for a blessing. And I got to say that it was quite a memorable experience to have gotten that job and be able to be on friendly terms with these people that I so highly regarded. Anyway, I left that out of my discussion. And even though I don't remember the names of these folks, and I got to excuse myself, I got to say, ever since I started to fall into this alternate reality, I'm going to call it, that I've been in now since around the age of 6, where everything is upside down in my world and nothing makes sense. Well, I got to a point by the time I was like 18 where I stopped remembering anybody's name because the way it was happening was, even if I was introduced elaborately to somebody, this is so-and-so who did blah, 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 and then I would never see that person again. So after a while, I stopped remembering any names. So I don't remember names at all. I don't remember names. I just don't. I got in the habit. You tell me your name, it goes right out of my mind because I never had any need to remember any names. So I'm explaining that's probably why I don't remember these guys' names. Had I lived in a different world, I would know their names, I'm sure, but I don't. So it's no criticism of them. It's just a fact of my reality that I don't remember names. And I think the reason why is what I just tried to sketch for you, that it was of no value to me to remember anybody's name in the world I've been in for most of my life, between 60 and 70 years. Is that you, Chris? We want justice.